Bang! Yep, that is a stonewall penalty. What the? Ref, are you mad? No, my name is Martin, not mad. To be fair, Martin, he might be right. Over. Because I can't lie, there may have been an offside in the build-up. Right, Fairs, you know what? Let's run it to VAR. Is that a head in the way? Are you taking the piss? Who's got in the way of this? Can we get an alternate angle, please? For crying out loud. Who even are these people? I mean, he is ahead of the play. Get me? Obviously, like, I know, like, nah, probably didn't at the time. All right, offside given. What the hell, man? I just wanted to stretch my leg. Yo guys, it is your boy Nirin here, and you are watching FTW. This is of course the series where I bring to you the best and more frequently the worst of what football has to offer during the last 7 days. What's been kicking off in the world this week? Well, there were surreal scenes in the US as Donald Trump survived an assassination attempt at a political rally, with the shooter skimming his ear. It's marginal, but it is in fact offside. You might want to Vincent Van Gogh to the screen, Martin, cause get me, he's got no ear. Shut up, man. Bro missed the target. Mikhailo Mudryk has to be a chief suspect, surely. Zoom into a nearby roof and you'll find one man. To be fair though, the XG on this shot must have been tiny. No chance of scoring. What, did somebody call? Donald's presidential opponent Joe Biden was left confused. And that was even before the shooting. He hasn't seen a miraculous escape like this since Noah's Ark. Well, I can't believe they shot JFK again. All right, Joe, let's take you back to the home. Now, we're officially into pre-season soon, and transfer activity is already starting to take place. But there's one transfer you need to make this summer. It's bringing in today's sponsor on a discounted fee, Proton VPN. Now, we all want to be safe when we're scrolling online, right? Well, now you can be, no matter what you're doing. Whatever you're up to, you can do it safely without the threat of hackers, data thieves, or even geolocking. Because Proton VPN lets you mask your IP address, gives you a sensational ad blocker, get those out of the way, and crazy speeds when you're browsing online or watching your favorite content. Plus, there's a mad range of countries that you can set yourself to. Those that competed in the Euros and those that didn't. Now, speaking of which, the Premier League is coming up soon, alright? New season starts in August. With Proton VPN, you can change your location so you can see those Saturday 3 o'clock kickoffs. And if you happen to be away on a holiday, then you can return to the UK in an online sense you wouldn't want to in actual life, so that you can still see the UK coverage from abroad. And just in case you thought it couldn't get any better, you can get yourself 1 month free with a 1-year plan, or 3 months here if you buy yourself a 2-year plan. All you gotta do is click the link down in the description below, or go to protonvpn.com/FNG to get yourself started. Now though, time for the football, and oh man, are we sure we have to talk about this?
Oh, jeezy pips, man.
I'm getting to the point now where is it worth going through this anguish every
major international tournament?
Guys, football, it's not coming home. Just like your dad who went to go get some semi-skimmed, he ain't making it.
I'm leaving.
England were left heartbroken again in major competition as an 87th minute winner won Spain Euro 2024. We were left as the bridesmaids again, hoping to catch the bouquet for next time. Let's just hope it's not up to Aaron Ramsdale to actually catch it. I'm sick of this fucking Three Lions tomfoolery. It's only football. Am I right? Yeah, I'm definitely not gonna try and end my existence after all of this. Now, going into the match, and Harry Kane said he'd trade all of his achievements for this Euros trophy. What, so nothing? No trophies for one trophy? Doesn't seem like a good trade deal. Pubs would be open till after 1 AM after getting past the semi-finals. Drug dealers were delighted seeing this news. Meanwhile, on the topic of pubs, and this one in Glasgow, I think we all know where their allegiances lay. This was an unlikely rematch, by the way, from a UEFA Cup tie 2 decades ago between Gareth Southgate and Jesus Navas. Navas was still, of course, in the Spain squad, and Gareth Southgate realised he could add himself as an extra defender. Meanwhile, I was looking forward to hearing the new national anthem. The game kicked off though, and blood pressure was high. I hadn't felt nerves like this since loading up a message to Maya Jama.
You actually feel a little bit sorry for him.
It was a cagey first half, and 0-0 was the score at the break. Rodri was imperious, overcompensating in my opinion. He's too good. There must be something wrong with the guy, like, got like a small penis or something. But this shrimp still fried our rice. At what cost though? He would go off injured at half-time, and surely that meant advantage England. Yeah, now we completely fucked it. Kyle Walker was at fault here and had a stinker overall. He must have been doing fancy dress as a footballer for this one, because he wasn't professional. He will be getting emotional when he's asked by family number 6 how the final went in a few years from now. At the other end of the pitch, Phil Foden wasn't providing too much in the way of decision making. Meanwhile, Harry Kane continued his absolutely stinky tournament, being hooked at the 60-minute mark. Harry, please, we need a goal, man, I swear. Declan, brother, I'm gonna come hold your hand. But when we did need a goal, one below room temperature individual stepped up.
Tries to tee up Palmer. Oh, yes! Ice cold precision from Palmer.
We were back in proceedings. Cole Palmer had equalised, though Jude Bellingham still had to try and out-PR Cole, only to be left devastated realising that his name starts with a P and ends with an R.
I've lost everything.
However, it was not to be, as with Kyle Walker again not stepping up, substitute Mikel Oyarzabal ghosted into the area to grab a winner with just 3 minutes to go. Hey, yo, guys, it's a new emotion. It's depression. The time the ball was actually in play, by the way, for injury time was an absolute joke. He blew far too early, not that Spain had any sympathy whatsoever, and we've now officially missed out on a bank holiday that we were promised if we had one. Neil Maupay was struggling to keep the joy contained on Twitter, and so was Giorgio Chiellini, but in real life, he was smiling as he brought out the Euros trophy for Spain. All I'm going to say is, by the way, everything was absolutely fine this tournament until Jordan Henderson turned up. You just know, by the way, that if Gareth Southgate had seen him in the crowd, he's coming on to ping 50-yard passes into touch and get more minutes than Adam Wharton this tournament. Next time I see Patatas Bravas, it's on site. There's a stat, by the way, that Spanish sides, just generally speaking, have been involved in 27 finals since 2001, and they've won all 27 of them. That is insane. Lamine Yamal, of course, broke many records this tournament. Himself and Nico Williams had birthdays a day apart, and then the next day won the Euros. What a present. Lamine was filming unexpected packages, though, on Insta Live after the final, and at the celebrations, he was attempting to rustle teammate Fabian Ruiz, but it didn't really pay off. God, honestly, they're acting like children or something. Marc Cucurella was quoted as saying he hopes the birth rate in Spain goes up over the next 9 months after the victory. One kid's going to be left confused when he gets to school and asks his parents why he's called Carvajal Gomez. And Cucurella was vocal over on Insta too, getting back at Gary Neville after shouts from the English pundit that he wasn't good enough to win the tournament. It's a shithousery award for the Chelsea left-back. However, his song that he was singing at their celebrations, potentially the worst thing ever. Why is he bringing Erling Haaland into it, man? Erling will get the last laugh after slapping 5 past him and Chelsea in the new season. Meanwhile, Rodri was quoted as saying that he's been getting calls from Dani Carvajal every day asking him to join Real Madrid. He's going to block his number after the tournament. Speaking of Rodri, he was bringing out some interesting chants while celebrating with the fans and players. Yeah, look, listen, this kid, he's not getting back into the UK. He's going to arrive at Gatwick Airport and his passport's going to have been revoked. Gibraltar's FA were not pleased with this statement. Honestly, look, listen, I say custody battle over Gibraltar. England and Spain play each other. England will be wagering Grimsby and losing on purpose so that Spain have to take it off them. Meanwhile, the call-outs continued as Alvaro Morata was getting on at Jamal Musiala, asking where he was after they knocked Germany out of the tournament. Well, I'll answer your question, Alvaro. He was rinsing Dani Carvajal and Rodri for about 120 minutes. Jamal will have been left very confused watching this one on the TV.
Why did I get picked up?
There was some wholesome stuff, though, during an otherwise cringy celebration, and that was in the form of one young kid who has been really suffering illness-wise during the course of the tournament, getting on stage and lifting the trophy with the rest of the players. Truly beautiful stuff. And beautiful football, truthfully, played by Spain all tournament. I think they are the most deserving team of winning it. They've been sensational the whole time. They've won every single game, for fuck's sake. And they played better than us in the final, ultimately. The likes of Nico Williams and Lamine Yamal can be absolute world beaters. As for England, we're just going to have to go again in 2026. But it will be with a new manager, as Gareth Southgate announced he would be resigning after the final defeat. Who needs a job? Me. Trent Alexander-Arnold will be delighted getting out of jail finally. Meanwhile, there's reports that Ange Postecoglou, current Tottenham manager, is in line, or is at least wanted by the English FA. He was asked about it and said that he'd just woken up from a nap and quite simply had no idea what was going on. Me, pretty much all of the time. England women's manager Sarina Weigman is also in the running for the job. It would make her obviously the first female manager of a men's English side. She's done a mad job, obviously, with the England women's team in doing something that the men's side couldn't do. I do feel like the scrutiny from the country would be absolutely mental, though. Though it would be worth it to see Joey Barton spontaneously combust, seeing a woman be the boss of a group of men. What next, though, for Gareth Southgate? Well, he's been linked with the United job. Have United fans not suffered enough? He'll be getting Alejandro Garnacho out of there for being too attacking when he actively beats his man in a 1v1. Though we'll be feeling sorry for Gareth when he takes a bite of his first meal at Old Trafford.
Ring, ring, pum, the hamstring.
Meanwhile, after the culmination of the competition, the Euro 20 2024 team of the tournament is out. Honestly, very good overall. Been some standout performers like Georgia's goalkeeper, Dani Olmo, Cody Gakpo, Jamal Musiala, and Florian Wirtz. A lot of Spain's side in fairness, but Kyle Walker here is a crime. He was literally at fault for both goals in the final, and he's not been great in any of the knockout stages either. Maybe he was in the squad as a Spanish player, given the effect that he had on the game in the final. As I said, we had the end of the Euros, and we had the final of Copa America too. A frantic, hair-raising, and dramatic tournament ended with Argentina taking a second title in a row, as they needed extra time to beat Colombia 1-0. Lautaro Martinez, the hero here. For this one though, and there were shocking scenes for fans trying to get into the stadium in Miami. Limited security and poor communication saw crushes, injuries, and ultimately fans without tickets ramming their way into the stadium, either through the gates or even creeping through the roof. Agustin here on Twitter made a comprehensive thread of his experiences, but basically it explained a very dangerous entrance and not much care from event organisers. And the security honestly was as bad as the average Trump rally. Really does raise questions, honestly, over the US's ability to host the World Cup in 2026. Onto the game though, and it was a tense affair really throughout. Broken up by a Shakira halftime show. Gerard Piqué will have fallen to his knees seeing this come on the TV. I didn't know they'd let dogs into the stadium, truthfully. CONMEBOL are unserious. Why are we getting some Super Bowl shenanigans? The next thing broken up though was Lionel Messi's ankle. He would have to go off injured with a massively inflamed foot. If a woman with this ankle, by the way, starts cooking food for you, it is about to go crazy. They had to excavate his foot out of the boot, not before he rolled back onto the pitch injured, to make sure the game was suspended though. Colombia quite literally breaking more ankles here than I show speed in Norway. Into extra time though, and Lautaro Martinez was played through for the eventual winner, and it was elation for Argentina fans. Things were overshadowed, however, by an incident after, as Argentina players led by Enzo Fernandez on IG Live sang a chant about France's black players. Now, I talked about the situation more in a video here, but the overall explanation of the chant is they're talking about like French players and the French squad as a whole not actually being French, and the fact that they're all African, the fact that Kylian Mbappe sleeps with transgender people, and that in reality the only thing French about them is the stamp on the passport. Argentina on about immigration, by the way, as if their squad isn't 50% Italian. Alexis McAllister, yeah, the most indigenous Argentine name I've ever heard. Enzo Fernandez was at least more direct with journalists on his way out of the bus station.
How do black people misbehave?
They do crime, they beat up everybody.
Chelsea player doing this, it really is on brand for the Blues.
It's a Chelsea thing.
Speaking of Chelsea, and his black French teammates of the club have not taken things well as you would expect. A number have unfollowed him after the video emerged. John Terry has now in fact followed him. Meanwhile, Datro Fofana and of course Wesley Fofana have made quotes on their social media platforms. Malang Sarr was attempting to get involved before people forgot that he even played for the club. Meanwhile, Nicholas Jackson on the other side of the fence actually is backing him. Yet another miss for the Senegalese striker. The dressing room is absolutely cooked. It's split down the middle, and Enzo Marasca will be trying to split up fights on the training field about 3 hours into his job. Why are you even singing this about France's national team after a Copa America win? Enzo has got some serious explaining to do to his teammates when he gets back. Nah, mate, I love Africa, honestly. Is that where Django Unchained is from, isn't it? Mate, genuinely, how could I be racist? My pen's black. Yeah, they should call you Senegal, am I right? Because you're scoring and you're from... Oh, it's Cameroon. You lot are from. My bad. Man City wanted the Argentine midfielder all the way back in 2021. Pep Guardiola, we know what you are.
Indian people, for black people, for normal people.
Man City fans, though, were getting stressed seeing Julian Alvarez pictured next to him on the team bus. Spare a thought for Lisandro Martinez during all of this. His view during the chants was obscured. He doesn't even know who was singing it at his height, bless him. Meanwhile, Lionel Messi caught life. He wasn't even on the bus. He could be pictured on Insta having a meal with his kids. He doesn't even know that it happened, bless him. Enzo Fernandez did take to Insta to apologise, but put it in Comic Sans. Brother, take things seriously. An apology is a good step for sure, but a chant really insinuates, as I said, that you can't be French if you've got African heritage, basically. And it could be a lot worse. It's not the most racismo thing you're even going to hear in this episode, but it's just a stupid thing to do. Argentina has a track record of it as a whole. Alexis McAllister didn't help the situation by basically throwing it to the side as if it was nothing and saying that Europeans are just more sensitive. You've actively offended your own teammates. You have to take that on board and take accountability. And also, completely separately, it's transphobic anyway because of the Kylian Mbappe line. So just get a grip, enjoy your win. You don't need to start bringing other teams, other nations, and other people's heritages into it. Either way, elsewhere at Copa America, and Uruguay won the third third-place playoff against Canada, a late Luis Suarez goal took them to penalties where they'd win in the shootout. For some reason, Uruguay have decided they've added their Olympic stars to the shirt. A bronze medal? Add another random star for that one, ladies and gentlemen. Now in Spain, and Real Madrid finally held their stadium presentation for new signing and star man Kylian Mbappe. Their new number 9 was presented with Florentino Perez walking out with Zinedine Zidane after the Frenchman had trained him all the way back as a child in 2012. Tens of thousands of fans packed into the Bernabeu to see him in Real Madrid colours for the first time, though fans up high in the stadium will have been left terrified when it was announced that Kylian would be taking free kicks during the presentation. But if they're waiting for him to score one, it'll still be going in 2 weeks from now. In an interview, he said his parents got him a Santiago Bernabeu replica as a gift when he was 8 years old, and he promised them then he would become a Real player. And he's not a waffling, he's stealing Hendrick's whole vibe.
Oh, yeah, that's my favorite saying. That's my favorite saying.
These two are gonna go quote for quote. I can't wait to see what the young Brazilian has to say next. So back when I was 3 years old, my dad was playing GeoGuessr, yeah. He landed somewhere and within 0.5 of a second I said, "Raw, I swear that's the Bernabeu Stadium." And from that moment on, despite signing though for Real, Kylian will not be travelling with the squad to the US on their pre-season tour. MLS defenders will be fuming, thinking they were gonna swap shirts with him.
You don't know where I'm from, dog.
And to be honest, what, you got not going to America? Bro's taking the Ronaldo comparisons a little bit too seriously. I mentioned Hendrick, he has been doing interviews again this week, saying that his parents almost called him Di Stefano after the legendary Real Madrid striker, but decided against it. Bro did not almost get called that. This guy's he's been waffling since the womb, bro. Alright, now I'm out, yeah, I beg someone name me Guti. Over at Barcelona, and progress is being made to build the new camp, with construction being overseen by players and management alike. Is Lamine Yamal even old enough to be on a building site and hold a hammer? This will be done in 29. Having seen Barca's bank account, Kylian will be left confused arriving at a construction site for the 2030 El Clasico. Speaking of El Clasico rivalry stadiums though, I'm back at the Bernabeu. A boxer won his bout and then lifted up a Lionel Messi Barcelona shirt in front of a stadium full of angry fans. Yeah, that's a shithousery award. That's absolutely crazy piss boiling. Staying on the theme of Real Madrid, and Andrei Lunin got married this week. Congratulations to the Ukrainian shot stopper. He clearly knew that Ukraine weren't going to be at the final of the Euros, but interestingly got married in a tracksuit, saying that he felt more comfortable. We've got exclusive footage of their vows here.
Wayne Ladley.
Sorry, yeah. Well, Wayne Ladlow, you don't know.
An Espanyol, and Martin Braithwaite has triggered a release clause in his own contract to leave. How do you trigger your own release clause, bro? He's got enough money, just buy out the club, bro. Took matters into his own hands. Over in Italy, there's the news that Romelu Lukaku is on the verge of joining a new club. He is heading to Napoli to attempt to bring them back to glory after a shocking title defense last season. This guy is going to be getting booed by every single Serie A club this season. How has he played for this many teams? He'll be in for a surprise trying to get out of Genoa's stadium after somehow offending them as well. Leave Italy before Italy leaves you, brother. Let's be real, massive downgrade if they end up losing Osimhen for some reason. Antonio Conte will be subbing himself on so he can snap Rom later on in the game. He might as well be an estate agent. The guy knows about every property across the country. I reckon he lost his passport when he was at Inter and he's just not bothered getting a new one. There is a ridiculous story coming out elsewhere across Italy where Marco Violi, I think either a journalist or an Italian commentator, has been just fraudulently, for some reason, labeled as the shooter at the Trump rally in the US this week. Multiple, verified accounts jumped on a random rumor where someone just, attached a picture of him to claims about the perpetrator. So he's having to sue them this week because people think he was actually the one who did it. Fiorentina and Moise Kean might want to work on his accuracy before he actually plays his first game for his new club.
That was shit.
Meanwhile, there were controversial scenes at Como, who have just been promoted to Serie A. They played a friendly against Wolves this week. Wolves' Korean forward Hwang Hee-chan claimed he was racially abused by a Como player, which led to his teammate Daniel Podence punching the opponent and then getting sent off. Now, Como came out with a statement saying that basically the Como player in question had called him Jackie Chan, not from South Korea, based on comments or a nickname that had been given to him by his Wolves teammates called Chani, suggesting they were disappointed disappointed in Wolves for overblowing the situation in possibly the worst statement as a team that's been accused of racism ever in the history of football. And yet it's still probably one of the least problematic instances of Italian racism this year. On the team of Como, though, they've made a new signing, Pepe Reina, 41. Maybe 41 years ago you could make a joke like that. But Pepe Reina, still playing football.
Someone said you was dead.
Over at Venezia, and they've got a very unique situation going into the new season. There was a termination between themselves and Kappa over their kit supplier, and they haven't been able to find a new one before pre-season, meaning they are quite literally wearing DIY Venezia shirts going into the new campaign, which, to be honest, I think is actually cooler. And elsewhere, things were tight at Genoa. Yeah, they won 17-1 in a friendly. Maybe play a couple more difficult teams for the season start. In France, and there's reports that Patrice Evra will be spending a year in jail over unpaid child support bills. He then responded in a very weird video of him in fancy dress in a prisoner's outfit, basically saying that it was all fake news. Fuck all of that noise, mate. Just pay your child support, brother.
I don't promote the violence, but many people need like some good slap.
Meanwhile, French under-23s and Olympic squad manager Thierry Henry has firmly still got it with this penalty. Over in Germany and Borussia Dortmund, well, they're getting their mistakes out of the way early in pre-season with this absolutely shambolic defending.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. A near supernatural goal.
Meanwhile, at Hanover and their kits, well, there was a little bit of an unfortunate stitching error, let's say, in this shirt. They have "Say No to Racism" written across the collar, but unfortunately, elsewhere across the kit, there's also the word "yes," which means when the stitching came together, it says "Say Yes to Racism." Now, at United, and there's the news that Mason Greenwood has left the club on a permanent basis to sign for Marseille. And honestly, shame on Marseille. You know, I've made my opinions on this situation and on Mason Greenwood extremely clear, and I'm happy to be on the right side of history on this one. Just because someone got paid off during the legal proceedings does not rub out the audio and the pictures and all of the evidence that should have condemned him in the first place. Ligue 1 defenders on game week 1, you lot know what to do. The only positive, I think, out of this situation is there's no actual foreign TV deal for France, so we don't actually have to watch it. On the topic of United, though, and they've signed Joshua Zirkzee, who's had an unreal season at Bologna, only to then spell his name wrong on the website. Decent enough signing. Apparently they've got him on pretty low wages. The same can't be said, though, for young centre-back Lenny Yoro, who comes in from Lille on a pretty hefty fee and on ridiculous wages. Yep, they're back to financial terrorism, but when the Glazers do this, it's outrageous.
Over $1.2 billion.
United are active, though, in the transfer window. We'll see how things go. They're on serious business. And in terms of players already at the club, Jadon Sancho and Erik ten Hag have reportedly made up. He saw that Borussia Dortmund's roof was leaking as well and said, well, I might as well stay in Manchester. Now, on fantasy football, and Erling Haaland has become the most expensive player ever. He's worth £15 million on the game, and to me, that is outrageous. In a cost of living crisis. On the topic of Erling Haaland, though, he was pictured meditating over on Instagram. Yeah, it's a wrap for the rest of us, man. The guy's sitting on a river, bro. We're done. New Aston Villa signing, Ian Martson, will be fresh for the new season, because after the entire story of him having to come back from his holiday and his dad driving his football boots from the Netherlands to Germany just so that he could take part, he played 0 minutes all tournament. You just wouldn't have it, would you? Meanwhile, at Nottingham Forest, and it's lovely of them to drape Chris Wood's shirt over the side of their stadium. Now there is time for your goals of the week. There are some screamers this time around, and we start with an absolute shed buster over in Bosnia and Herzegovina for Sarajevo in one of the qualifying rounds for European competition. And the same can be said over in Montenegro, where Jurisic is lining up for a free kick, only to turn into prime Roberto Carlos. But if you thought those were sweet strikes, then look no further than our final goal, which comes from Estonia. Take about Oni Sutari, who has caught everybody, including the goalkeeper, off guard with one of the most pure strikes from the halfway line directly from kickoff. In off the crossbar, beautiful stuff. Hello all, and welcome to The Beautiful Game, the segment where we take a look at the poetic and brilliant side of the game that we love. We are back by popular demand for yet more glorious beauty.
Si este no es el gol más insólito del año, no sé cuál lo es. Los dos frente a la...
Whoever's involved in this, stop it.
And that concludes The Beautiful Game. Now, over in Norway, an iShow Speed is continuing his European streaming tour, and he headed over to Viking, a football club in the top flight of Norway. He was promised a professional contract from their manager if he beat one of the club's fastest players in a 100-meter sprint.
That is that. That's gonna be the easiest Norwegian contract. in my country.
Yep, that's another side mission completed, lads. This guy's going to be playing in Norway. He's going to be the melon in Harlem. The Norwegian coach will be losing his patience, though, when Speed misses his 17th one-on-one of the game.
You don't have future. You can never make. You're supposed to be a dinner man.
Over in MLS now, there's the crazy story of Carven, a 14-year-old playing for Philadelphia Union, who made his debut to become the youngest player ever in, well, any major league sports series in the country, beating Freddie Adu's record by 2 weeks. I mean, this is nuts. How on God's green earth? I mean, he doesn't look 14 for a start. He's got silver hair, for fuck's sake. The kid's already got a deal lined up in like 4 years to go to Manchester City. But honestly, I don't know what's happened to the game that I love.
Oh, the game's got it. The game's got.
In Brazil, there was hilarious stuff at Flamengo, where Gabigol thought he'd grabbed himself the winner late on. The celebration's wild. Absolutely crazy. Yeah, he was offside. Yeah, nah, the linesman, flag was up. Lovely story out of Austria, where manager Ralf Rangnick for the national team has decided to bring together a young Austrian squad of about 25 players for like a training camp, so you can see what the future of the country looks like and how they play and evaluate them and see what their futures are. A really sick idea. I think other national teams should be doing that. Impressive stuff coming out of Andorra as well, where not just one, but two of their teams have won in Champions League or Europa League qualifying. But both UE Santa Coloma and Interclub de Escaldes have beaten their opponents in Conference League qualifiers, so fair play, man. But even more impressive, La Fiorita in San Marino, after an 87th minute equaliser, they took their Belarusian opponents to extra time and a penalty shootout, where they won in Conference League qualifying. That is massive for the nation of San Marino. Fair play, well done to them. Meanwhile, elsewhere in Conference League qualifying, and football is truly at its peak, where Connors Key were facing off, I think, against a Serbian side, just over the hour mark, and a ball is launched clear by the Welsh side. It's picked up by the goalkeeper of the opponent, Matija Orbanic, who just strolls forward, sees a little bit of space open up, and decides to have a pop in a random pub now, and we've got perhaps the greatest piece of skill you're ever gonna see. I mean, that's one way to put it. Rainbow flick, 5-star skill moves, get him in a Brasilva squad. Meanwhile, football is firmly back up in Scotland. At Stirling, where a referee has realised that there's like a small hole or divot in the pitch, a goalkeeper's gone, grabbed some sand and a shovel to fill it up, only to receive the best heckle from a fan I think I've ever heard. Wouldn't even fill the missus. Yeah, nah, crazy stuff. On the international stage, Xherdan Shaqiri is officially retired from his duties with Switzerland. The streets will never forget his contributions to international tournaments, and I will never forget his calves. Over in Somalia, though, and this has got to be one of the most ridiculous penalty run-ups you will ever see.
You can't miss this. He's bloody missed it! What a prat!
An ultra-defensive run-up is insane. Speaking of penalties, and back in MLS, this Dallas attacker has put it right into the top corner before getting up close and personal with an opponent defender. I don't even know what the backstory is here. A shithousery award for definite, a yellow card equally. Meanwhile, in Mexico, and once again, I don't really understand why this is happening, but at Tijuana, their starting 11, they do the lineup graphic, it's a little bit different to the usual.
Hola, soy Unai Bilbao.
Hola, soy Alejandro Gómez.
Hola, soy Rafael Fernández.
Hola, soy Aaron Mejía.
Hola, soy Alan Vega y...
These lot saw the Shakira halftime show. In the League of Ireland now, and chasing a goal late on, things are getting desperate. This side have thrown their goalkeeper forward. They need a great ball into the box to utilise everybody in the area.
Dreadful cross from Declan McDade. The keeper's not at home. And away comes Sligo with no goalie. And from his own half.
It's gone in.
Have they got the second? Yeah. They have indeed, and the game has won.
Yeah, that was probably not the ball that they were looking for, if I'm going to be honest. Speaking of goalkeepers being left in no man's land though now, and in China, this time it's a shot stopper who's done it to himself, stepping on the ball. Not the greatest control really to allow for an empty net to be conceded in. In Croatia, and the goalkeeping howlers keep going, though this time it's more of a defensive one, as this Osijek defender has played a blind back pass and has ended up hacking his own net. If you thought that might have been suspicious, there's definitely suspicious activity going on in Brazil, where this defender looks like he's like intentionally given the ball away twice. Definitely intentionally the second time. Not tracked back whatsoever. The attacker's obviously gone around the keeper and like slotted it in. Back in England and at Helden town, we've got a penalty blazed so far over the bar it's ended outside of the stadium and in a cemetery next to the ground. We gather here today to... Oh, Jesus Christ! And on the topic, have you ever seen a skill move take the life of somebody this badly? Now though it's time for Still 0-0, and you guys know the score by now. This is a segment of the show where I bring to you the best of Sunday League and amateur football. And this time around, look, listen, we're actually breaking the mold with recent Still 0-0 segments, because we're shining a light on maybe some uncovered gems, diamonds in the rough, because this might be the best assist I have seen this calendar year. The control, the skill, the ball, it's all incredible. On to the weird stuff though now. To be honest with you, not that much weird stuff has happened. There's actually only one story here to end things, but it is a unique one, and it comes in the form of Gibraltar, where in Conference League qualifying, a lot of the minnows of European competitions are getting their first taster and potentially last taste of European football for the season. Not the case though for Bruno's Magpies, who defeated Derry City of Ireland after extra time 3-2. The crazy thing about this is that Bruno's Magpies were formed in a bar in Gibraltar. They are quite literally a pub team, only created 11 years ago in Bruno's bar. An unreal story, and we'll be keeping an eye out for them for the rest of their European journey. That though is going to wrap up football this week, and I hope you have enjoyed it. If you have, then feel free to slap a like on the video, and of course subscribe if you're new to the channel. You can also follow me on social media. It is at @officialfng on Twitter and on Insta. It's been a pleasure ranting at you guys today. Have a wonderful day, enjoy yourselves, and goodbye.